Alright, how's it going, everybody?
Hi.
So, eh,
I
how
see
you
you
doing?
now.
Oh, okay.
That's your Papa now. I did
Yeah,
Papa
she wanted to show
now.
you how she painted my nails. So yeah, this is gonna be my review. It's a little different because I know I was doing my catch-ups for 2022
Check
movies.
that.
This kind of relates to one in a way. So, I watched the original Top Gun, and I saw Top Gun Maverick, so I'll be putting a review up for that as well too. So Top Gun pretty much is about these ace pilots. They're an academy known as the Top Gun Academy. They're basically, let's say, just learning how to be fighter pilots. Basically, I mean, it's a really simplistic story. Straightforward. Has these people who are dealing with these different dramatic personal issues, whether it's with Top Gun or becoming a fighter pilot, giving up whatever. So giving up doing the fighter pilot thing because of the dangers of it, things of that nature. So I really did admire this. Now I haven't seen this movie in decades. It's been a very long time since I've seen it. So I just watched it recently, like last week. And it's got, so this is actually a Tony Scott film. The late Tony Scott, rest in peace. He did direct this film, and this was also produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who, that name should be familiar to anyone really. I mean, this guy's done produced some huge films. He's produced anything from National Treasure to Bad Boys to Armageddon. He even produced CSI. So he's produced a lot of big name films. Beverly Hills Cop was another one. So I feel like I said, and I do like this movie. It has some really good nostalgic factor to it. Tom Cruise, of course, stars in it. You have Kelly McGinnis. You have young Val Kilmer. There's just a whole bunch of actors in it. At the time, these guys were kind of big back then. So that their star. This is back when Star Power kind of helped out with films. And I will say, like, I do like this movie. I was actually really impressed with this coming out in 1986. I was only a year old when this movie came out, so I was pretty young when this came out. I will say though, like, I feel like even watching it now, I was really the big thing that really impressed me with this movie were the dog fights, the way they were filmed, even for 1986. I was really convinced that, I mean, clearly they weren't dogfighting really, but it just the way they made it look, like they made it really authentic. And I think there was no CGI or nothing like that back then, so this was like a good amount of editing and camera tricks, different forms of camera work. I think that made those dogfights intense. It made them really suspenseful, and I really did admire that. I seriously did. Really kept me on the edge of my seat. Honestly, I really enjoyed that about this movie. So I think the thing. So I know and again, I don't want to go by Rotten Tomato scores. I don't think, I can't remember what it was. It was a while ago since I've seen the Rotten Tomato score. It was a long time ago. I know it's not very high, but I said I do like this movie. I think I had a couple issues with it watching it. It's not perfect. It was definitely a huge film back then. It was a big classic of its time. It is a memorable film, and even watching it now, I see where all the memorable parts are in it, stuff like that, which do make this movie kind of powerful. I think you have the rivalry between the friendly rivalry between Iceman, played by Val Kilmer, and Maverick, played by Tom Cruise. The higher ups, or the admirals or generals or whatever, and how they're always talking about Tom Cruise, how his character's young, he's hot headed. Because I think in this movie he was only in his 20s. I think he's like in his late 20s. I think he's like 27 or something like that. So like I think like so I thought that aspect of it was really cool. Those aspects were nice. And but this movie is like a product of its time. If you know what I mean. Like there's just certain things I noticed back in 1986 that might have seemed like cute or whatever. And is it very okay in 2023? I'll just put it like that. I just thought it was kind of weird when I saw the movie again. And I guess, like, I don't know, like, it was the one thing that bothered me about this movie was the relationship between Tom Cruise and Kelly McGinnis. I really didn't care for that relationship. I actually didn't even care for those scenes a lot of the time. It to me, those scenes just sort of dragged the movie on. It felt like I'll tell you what, like, I felt like this. I felt like when the movie was on the ground, there were moments where, at least to me, it felt like there were moments where the movie was kind of in neutral a little bit. Like it felt like it didn't know where it was going, whether it's stretching out the love scenes between Tom Cruise and Kelly McGinnis, or it was going back and forth with Iceman, or one of the generals or admirals getting upset with Tom Cruise about being a hothead or something like that. That's pretty much kind of where that movie went to me, honestly. But otherwise, again, I just feel like the Kelly McGinnis relationship I wasn't a big fan of. It just felt like, to me, it felt like Tom Cruise's character was kind of being a jerk to her, and she was still falling for him for some bizarre reason. I was like, and they just, and it wasn't like they were like in a long-term relationship. Like they had just met each other. And there's a weird scene where like they're in the bar together, and he like follows her into the bathroom. Oh, it was just weird. I was like, what? That's so bizarre. And she was okay with it, like it wasn't like she was like, what are you doing in a women's restroom? Like there's nothing even, there's no type of eyebrows raised, there's nothing. And then like strangely, they're like the only two people in the bathroom. Like no other woman happens to walk in and goes like, hey, what are you doing in here? So I don't know, it was just weird stuff like that just bothered me. But other than that, I mean, if like I said, I thought the dog fights were amazing in this, and that's what you're pretty much here for with this old Top Gun movie. And maybe some really solid performances and some scenes like on the ground. Otherwise, despite the complaints I had about it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one just a solid recommendation. It's gonna be solid recommend. Again, I really I had issues with this movie. It wasn't perfect, but I think I liked this pretty reasonably, despite the issues I had with it. So yeah, definitely this is gonna be a solid recommend for me. So yeah, definitely check out the original Top Gun. And tell me if you liked it. Or if you didn't like it, if you think I was crazy for liking it, or you didn't agree with the parts that I had an issue with. So definitely check this out, and I will see you in the next video.
Bye bye.
Peace.